In putting together these notes, I had to ask myself the question, what does an artist without autism look like? It's much easier for me to identify people who I believe are on the autistic spectrum. Sometimes I can just look at their art and get a feel for it. If you're looking at social development as a clue for someone who's normal, an artist who would be normal, it's very difficult to make that determination. Autistic people can have a small circle of devoted friends. I had friends for a while in graduate school. I liked interacting with them. The only way I could maintain that friendship, to maintain those friendships, was to compartmentalize them. That is to say, to turn them on and off like a light switch. Now that may sound cruel to someone who doesn't have autism, but for somebody who does have autism, there's no other way to function, especially if you want to be devoted to something. You want to pursue something to a point of perfectionism. Now the thing about friends is that they can be fiercely devoted to you because they recognize your talent, or they see you as being a very entertaining person. They tolerate your personality quirks, or they may share your obsessive-compulsive tendencies, in which case you're friends alone together. So friendships really don't tell you a whole lot. Neither do love affairs or family relations. Those things can be very complicated as well. Here are some biographical details that you often run across when you're reading about artists. That they're withdrawn and melancholy, private and complex, quiet and introverted. In some cases, they may be extroverted, but again, they're highly compartmentalized. I was that kind of person while I was moving in my circle of friends. I was a performer. I was a social performer. And because I'm a teacher, I still am a social performer. But I would go on stage and do my thing, but then I would be so physically and mentally exhausted by it, I would have to withdraw back into my quiet place, back into my studio. Most people would perhaps admit that artists are a little odd and that many may be socially stunted. In large cultural centers like New York City and Paris, socially impaired individuals may prefer the company of each other. They may band together in groups. At least one of these individuals is bound to have some organizational skills. Another individual will know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, and that somebody being in a position to do so makes the whole lot of them famous. I call this 6 degrees of Van Gogh. Few artists were as socially dysfunctional as Vincent van Gogh. Had he moved directly to the backwater of Arles, no one would ever have heard of him. Now, the story is that his brother made him famous, but his brother only outlived him by 1 year. So the widow is more important than the brother in this story. But I would say neither of these relations were needed. Because Vincent van Gogh passed through Paris, he met and mingled with the French Impressionist painters, all of whom were about to become very famous. It would only be a matter of time before art dealers, eager to have more art sales, would start poring over impressionistic exhibition catalogs, looking for lesser-known exhibitors. In other words, fame would have gone looking for Vincent van Gogh. He didn't have to go looking for fame. If the whole lot of them, all the Impressionists, had lived in Arles and not Paris, Impressionism may have been nothing more than a pokey regional art movement whose geniuses would have had to wait a very long time to become valuable. As for becoming famous, they may never have become famous.